Welcome back to more Let's Play Seduce Me! Going through Erik's route! Last episode, we made passionate... Okay, we didn't make passionate love, but we made a massive make-out session with Erik, and I am so happy we did. So like I said, Erik is the best. But last time, we got kidnapped by Malix and his crew. And so, let's just continue on where we left off. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb as I was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears. First the interior of the car, then the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse, surrounded by devils, including Malix, who was smirking at me.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malix walked over and slipped the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Oh, really? And if we want Erik, we have to call out Azurus! Ah! Oh no, not Azurus. Azurus! All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing Erik. Erik?
Did you miss me?
Fuck yeah, I miss you, baby boy! However, the seduction smile that graced his lips quickly disappeared as he turned to Malix. As Malix lowered his arms, Erik glared.
You really are evil at its core. Kidnapping an innocent woman like you did? It's disgusting how we demons are confused for your kind.
Look at this little man whore Erik right here, boys. Might as well sleep with a disease.
Hey, who are you calling man whore? He's my little whore. The devils around them laughed, including Eris. I felt a twinge of anger, but Erik must have taken it from me and added it to his own. Erik flicked his wrists and arms across his body, producing a small whipping noise through the air. However, Malix hissed and reached for his cheek, as if the air had slapped him hard. What the? When Malix removed his hand from his cheek, I stared wide-eyed at the large slash that was revealed on it. A mixture of red and blood. Black blood gently dripped from the wound, causing Malix to growl angrily at Erik.
So, pretty boy thinks he has balls, huh? Time to make this pretty boy a damn bitch.
All of a sudden, Malix lifted his gun towards Erik and pulled the trigger. I gasped and tensed up, not believing what I was seeing. As I braced myself for Malix's bullet to embed itself into Erik, however, a large and ethereal tendril shot up from in front of Erik's body, sprouting from the ground by his feet. Quickly after the bullet evaporated into the tendril, several others appeared, forming a dark purple crown around Erik's body.
What the? What is that?
Did you expect me to come unprepared the second time around? Thanks to my lovely princess, I can now use the full extent of my powers. Unfortunately for you, that means I'm afraid you will lose this fight.
Yes? Erik has tentacles. Tentacle hentai, anyone?
You cocky little shit!
Malix charged up his energy and began to fire bullet after bullet at Erik in anger. However, the tendrils danced across Erik's body with ease, blocking each one as if they were mere pebbles to a wall. The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face.
Die already!
Erik chuckled before snapping his fingers, causing a row of tendrils to appear behind him, pointing their sharp ends at Malix, who continued to fire bullets at the incubus. The tendrils uprooted themselves and floated into the air, straightening out to large spikes before quickly spinning into multiple thinner spikes. I could only stare, completely lost and intrigued at the sight as Erik whipped his hand across his body again. At Erik's command, the spikes flew at Malik, slashing and stabbing into his body. They were thin, barely making pencil-sized wounds, and only a few went to his body. The others scraped and scratched at his skin as they flew by. This didn't kill Malix, however. Malix growled loudly before charging at Erik, causing the incubus to step back in a slight shock. Malix pointed his gun at Erik, closing the distance between them, and fired as the barrel almost reached Erik's face. Not the face, man! The face! Instead of the bullet ripping into Erik, a large explosion forced both away from each other. Malix bounced off the far wall and landed on his knees, groaning in pain. Erik, however, slid across the ground, landing on his stomach. Erik! Malix slowly planted a foot onto the ground to stand, but froze before doing so, staring at Erik's body. Erik, on the other hand, slowly rose and turned to face Malix head on. Erik reached a hand up and wiped off a small stain of blood that had painted the side of his lips before growling almost animalistically. At that moment, something in the air changed. They instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and red as everything began to blend together all at once.
How persistent. I guess I'll have to go all out on you to finally rid the world of you.
Was this the extent of a demon power? My eyes never strayed from Erik's face. However, even as it changed, his eyes began to glow a bright golden color as Erik began to walk towards Malix.
Let's end this.
Malix aimed his gun and fired Erik, but the bullet never made its target. As the shot erupted from the barrel, the ethereal tendrils erupted from Erik's back, creating a wing-like barrier from the bullet. Malix stared wide-eyed at Erik's tendrils, absorbed the bullet, and grew almost larger in size and in number with each step Erik took. Erik's skin slowly began to morph and shift, changing from human to something else entirely. Something about Erik grew dark and menacing, and this transformation was making him even darker. Before I was allowed to see Erik's new form, however, a pair of hands quickly covered my eyes. Instinctively, I reached up and grabbed them, trying to pull them off. A voice stopped me.
It's me. Don't look.
I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I could hear everything, however. I listened as Malik stood up with a pained grunt before being pushed against the wall with another shout. After that came, sounds of flesh ripping and blood spurting followed, quickly by Malik's screams. Maybe it was better that I wasn't able to see.
Erik, enough!
Almost instantly, after James' command, the sound stopped. The air grew silent as a pair of footsteps slowly made their way to where we were.
I just had to be sure he was dead. No use in letting him have a chance to revive.
You're getting sloppy, Erik. You've lost your glamour spell.
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did Erik sound so different? What was being hidden from me?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human? They didn't look like humans after all? What did they look like?
Like demons.
Damn, David, separated my brain, please. Or maybe so, I don't know. As if Matthew knew what Damien was talking about, Matthew spoke up, followed by the sound of cork popping out of the bottle.
Well, not for much longer. Here.
There we are. Thank you, Matthew.
I could hear the small clinking of glass being passed before hearing Erik guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Damien moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devils, including Eris, had fled. On top of what I assumed to be Malix's body was a dirty sheet that was quickly turned red from blood. I couldn't tell if it was even his body. It seemed lumped together like a pile of parts. The boys, however, had gathered around me. All of them, including Erik, looking like nothing had happened. What? What just Ugh! I tried to speak, but everything sipped around in my head at the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in a sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to Erik for some sort of sign that I wasn't dreaming. Erik smiled softly at me before looking ahead, trying to look like nothing had happened. It was over. Malix was gone, and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a pang of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weighed down on my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
I looked to Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts in the situation. Yeah, bed sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened and I felt dizzy just trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal, and were now awaiting me to decide their fate. I gulped, face to face with the reality of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had demanded. It was only fair, though, after all that had happened. I looked at Erik, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but would he ask to stay? I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, Erik moved and stepped to me, gently moving a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear. He stared into my eyes and spoke, gently stroking my cheek.
Princess, you've been such a wonderful help to us already. But I'm afraid that I must ask more of you. I've grown fond of being here and of serving you. Would you allow us to stay?
Oh, when you talk like that, I can't help but say, yes, stay, please stay. My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boy stared at Erik wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. Erik stepped back to give me space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left in the morning, I would never see them again, and my life could return to normal. If I did decide to let them go, that would have been for the best. No goodbyes, no delays. But did I want to? They had done so much for me in such a small amount of time. Oh, you know we're going to... Erik, my bae, my beautiful bae, you are staying. I wanted them to stay. I wanted him to stay. I merely smiled, staring at the man I had come to have feelings for, before speaking at last. I would love it if you all could stay. The voice cheered tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. I giggled at the sight. It was cute to see everyone so excited, despite the tiredness that ran equally through their bodies. Today was a rough day. Seriously, look at Matthew's smile. He's so cute. And Damien has a cute smile too. So cute. Seriously, look at them. They're just so cute. My home is your home, as long as you can still help with chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh! Yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
Yeah, man.
I watched a very happy smile grow onto Erik's lips. He shared my excitement, knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and Erik alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as Erik walked closer to me, gently wrapping his arms around my waist. I placed my hands onto his shoulders, leaning close.
Yet again, you spoil me. I'm very unworthy of you, Princess.
Hush, Erik. I wanted you to stay. I stared up into his eyes, getting lost in them. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself lean into Erik's body. It invited me to stay a while, making me forget that my bed was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. I had accepted everything while in Erik's warmth. He was real, and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. Erik nodded before kissing my forehead sweetly.
Come, let's get you to bed.
Oh, you're gonna join me in bed while you're at it? Huh? Huh? I nodded before Erik gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against Erik's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked to Erik, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have a good night, princess. I'll prepare breakfast for you in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let sleep consume me as I drifted into the darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. And we're done! Yay, we're done! We're done with Seduce Me! Okay, Erik! Why didn't you kiss me like goodnight? Or stay in bed with me, dude? Come on. Seriously. Ha ha ha, no.
You are an interesting creature.
Of course it wasn't the end. Of course it's not. I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move and fight her off. What was going on, and why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known as she let another smirk grow on her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amazement. Who the hell are you, and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her to answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
Diana? Demon? You're a demon?
I am. But I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
Great. Exactly what we needed into the mix. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now a succubus? Great. I had now met both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms across her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty. But you seem very reckless. Too reckless.
I moved out and stood from the bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
This girl was seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat? How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do?
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Touch me and I'll...
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze and heat up to almost a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me and caressed my cheek.
Now, you're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
I nodded.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the Abyssal Plains. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch.
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diana lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
I felt my body move on its own to lay in bed and cover itself with my bed sheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you!
Oh, please do.
Oh, damn. Don't mess with Diana. All of a sudden, her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent, scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated in the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have had enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
Then you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you. And you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. A human with a shield versus a devil was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
Fuck you! And with that, Diana sank into the floor through a magic purple pentagram, which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had no problem, and now I had another. I had one problem, and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks. I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. I let it all aside before closing my eyes, affirming my plan of action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Eventually, the morning arrived, and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm clock once again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I will say good morning, and we'll see them when I come back. No way am I going to say goodbye. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys were already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly at the sight of food, drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
The boys looked at Damien in confusion while he cursed his ability silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Damien looked to me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. Fuck it. Diana! Damien pressed his lips together into a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus. That single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked to each boy, unsure what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien. She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
For once, Sam, I agree with you.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where their voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. At last, we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple on her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
Okay, to be fair, I'm 18. I'm just barely legal. Cut me some slack here for not losing the V card. My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she? I don't think this matters. Yeah, I don't think that matters. I'm pretty sure that doesn't matter. I stepped up gently, pushing the boys away to be face to face with Diana. I was furious and she was about to feel my wrath. You are in my house. You are an intruder. You have no power here.
Oh, really? Do I have to remind you of the power I have, dear?
Snap of her fingers, my mind suddenly locked up and I felt blank. I could see the world around me, but I lost control of my body. The boys quickly reformed around me with James gripping onto Diana's wrist in anger.
You will leave this instant.
Or what? You'll kill me? I completely dare you to.
Let me do it. I could use the workout.
Don't.
The boys looked at Damien while Diana smirked at my blank state. I wanted to fight this hole, but her power held me down.
And why not?
She wants us to kill her. If she dies, then civil war starts in the demon world.
Very good, sweetie.
What happens in the demon world doesn't concern us anymore. We live here now.
The demons will come to the human world and hunt us down before attacking each other.
The demons will come to the human world? All because of her?
You sneaky bitch.
And then a snap of Diana's fingers, I was released from her hold, almost buckling to my knees.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back, a bit surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Erik. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger to her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked to me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was her only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the small gaze and smiling to the boys around me. Whoa, I did not mean to hit the save. Mouse! Mouse! We had this discussion before. Calm down. Calm down. God. This mouse thinks... Seriously, this mouse. Overreacting?
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once, the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to the spots at the table, each in deep thought.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually, she'll give up.
That's the hope, anyway.
Hopefully. Erik walked over to me and gently caressed my cheek, looking at me with concern.
She won't harm you, Princess. I promise.
I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought. Erik gently took my hand in his and kissed my knuckles, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered around the air, making me blush even more, but as Erik cleared his throat, the laughter stopped. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brothers with his lips on my hand. And he and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. Never, ever say that nothing will happen before the day is over. I avoided talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying the ride was a one-time thing. I'll be riding with you guys from now on to and from school. The girls seemed very happy. We entered the school quickly, gathered our things from our lockers, and headed to class. There were no events to our surprise. History wasn't exactly fun, but our teacher was great. At least he would have been great if he was in the class that day. Naomi and Suzu took their seats around me. Suzu in front of me, Naomi beside me. Before the class bell rang, the class was greeted by the dean.
Students, we'll be having a substitute for class today. Everyone meet
Miss Diana.
Ah, fuck. Is that school appropriate, by the way? I'm just saying this right now. My heart stopped. At the door of the dean was Diana, looking over the students and smirking as her eyes landed on me. She strutted to the teacher's desk, ignoring or welcoming the whispers from the other students before sitting on the wood and crossing her legs.
Thank you, Dean. You can go now.
With a wave of Diana's hand, the dean left the classroom, closed the door, and left the area. Diana smiled at us, making my stomach turn. What was she going to do?
So, history. History. Such a silly thing, isn't it? I mean, what do we care about the past? We're in the present.
The rest of the class, including Naomi and Suzu, hesitantly nodded in agreement, unsure about this new teacher, but willing to listen to more of what she had to say.
The present is so full of wonderful things. While the labors of the past are the reason we have many things, it is our chance and privilege to utilize what has been given to us.
Her charm was almost infectious. The class was practically starting to eat out of her hand. I looked around to see classmates grinning and agreeing with Diana. I pressed my lips together as I listened further. I had no choice.
What's even funnier about human beings is that some of the bits of history we hear is either made up or completely biased to one side. It's like a story you read as a child. You hear of the princess and the prince, and they live happily ever after. But what about the family she left behind? What of her friends?
The students listened and agreed intently to her words. I could tell, however, that these words were all targeted at me.
The original story of the Little Mermaid, a perfect example of biased opinion. Here we have a girl who thinks she can be with this prince, but this prince has to marry a princess. What would happen if the mermaid had her way? What makes the mermaid so important that the princess has to suffer the consequences?
Yeah, let's get straight into it and say it doesn't matter what happens to the princess. The rest of the class turned their heads to me. Naomi and Suzu looked at me with equally surprised looks. I kept my eyes to Diana. If I was the mermaid, I was going to let the princess take my prince away. Diana stared at me before smiling and turning her body to fully face me.
Oh? And why does it not matter?
The story isn't about the princess. The story is about the mermaid and the prince.
Ah, but that is exactly my point. While the story talks about the mermaid and the prince's romance, we don't see the problems of the kingdom the prince rules. While we are all fixated with this love story, we ignore the fact the kingdom would fall apart without the marriage between the prince and princess.
She kept her eyes to me as she spoke. I knew she wanted to make her words stick in my mind, but I didn't listen. It was one thing to be a fictional story. It was another to try and ruin someone else's life for selfishness. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Well, luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again. And indeed, she is wrong. That's not what happened. That's not true. Burn your backs. Once again, the class looked to me and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
The trade-off for becoming human was marrying the prince or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid didn't because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That is a story worth telling, not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted love. The class applauded me, with Suzu giving me her usual punch to my shoulder and Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, finally grew an almost angry face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
The story is not about the princess. The story is about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of the kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them, duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this. The applause that followed that intensified with whoops and hollers. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win. I wasn't going to let her. Diana then stopped talking and looked to the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. This class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became worried.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
The students suddenly began to chat happily or in confusion in the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true. Others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted down with her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us announcements we would never believe.
Attention students. Due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
Damn. That really is a dream come true. She will to make that up later. She used her powers on them. Damn it. I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public area? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about impromptu plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. But before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stopped us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
As Diana looked to Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
Damn. As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my 2 friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing, and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? My God, I felt so confident to try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana again, seeing her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me. This time I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. That bitch! Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips. Licking her own, I could feel little shots of energy sipping from under my skin onto my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation at the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. Erik! Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
Erik? Who is...
Then, it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why did you tell me which boy is Erik?
I felt myself nod in compliance. The second... Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The sly second? With you?
I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the second son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
And how am I supposed to get home? My 2 friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies. Let me help then.
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounding my feet, pulling me into the ground. Ah! Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt my silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. What the? Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed, looking around me. I was indeed in my room. There was no mistake about that. Why? Diana? It's too strange. Was this a game? Was this part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and confused more than ever, despite my logical thought trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door suddenly opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand on the doorknob.
Miss, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Yeah, about that. I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer the questions through my thoughts.
Diana sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously! Diana's playing around for no reason.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, feeling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within the talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't even stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys that she would travel to the human world to get them? What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers. Hey! The boys stopped arguing, staring at me in surprise. And their lovely surprised faces. Oh, so surprised. Love it. I held my hands up in fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout. Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? Why did you run from it?
Miss, we...
Don't miss me, please. I need to know what's going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I'm facing. Well, to be fair, with Erik, we kind of had a hint of what it was. And, well, I guess not officially, but we'll find out. The boys looked at each other hesitantly, unsure what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien towards the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso over the edge of the mattress.
Damien, do the thing.
The thing? What thing?
Sam, you're not suggesting.
Why not? She deserves to know everything, especially if Diana is targeting her.
Well, Sam, if I didn't know better, I thought you started growing a brain.
Sam's right.
I guess we have no choice then.
I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? Damien stood before climbing onto the bed with me, sitting across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Vision?
Princess, please trust him.
I looked to Erik, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows. I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold, and energy began to be both pulled out of me and forced into my head. Within seconds, my vision went black once again. I was unsure of what Damien was doing, but soon shapes and textures slowly began to appear around me. I found myself sitting on a stone floor in the middle of what looked like a fantasy throne room. Hey, this looks familiar. Where am I? I looked down at myself to stand only to see my body as translucent as a ghost. Whoa! I jumped up and inspected my hands with a sudden panic. I was see-through. Why? What was going on?
How dare they try to negotiate with me? Do they not know whom they speak to?
I gasped and ran behind a nearby pillar, away from the voice. The sound of his anger and words frightened every bone in my body, turning me into a frightened child.
My lord, please calm yourself.
Calm? You're merely testing my resolve. I have more than half of a mind to send my greatest armies to take what should be mine. They are mere insects in the way of my kingdom's expansion.
They merely asked for a marriage joining.
So I'm to bow to them and share my land that I have so rightfully conquered?
He does have a point. I peeked from behind the pillar to see a large demon covered in royal clothes, but buff enough to be a military commander. His rage practically emanated from his body as he growled at his servant.
They are willing to give their land to you, sire. All they ask is for one of your sons to marry their daughter, whom I might add is as beautiful as can be.
This is ridiculous. To suggest that I need their approval to take their land is beyond insanity. What makes them think I care about their precious daughter?
Did I mention that she is a prodigy of her kind, sire?
A prodigy?
Yes, my lord. This succubus is a master of her skills in magic and mind manipulation. She is said to sway armies with a snap of her fingers, despite being as young as she is.
Impossible!
If only it were, sire. This succubus is dangerous, but would be a great asset to have should we agree to this arrangement. The only reason she cannot faze you, my lord, is because you are the strongest demon in the plains.
Is this supposed to change my mind?
Good question.
Yes, my lord.
Good answer.
You are doing a terrible job at convincing me.
My apologies, sire.
I was lost. I could tell that they were talking about Diana, but why?
Father.
I quickly turned my head to see another demon, who looked like a mere child, staring at the demon commander on the throne. Father?
Ah, Raystrow. Have you finished your training?
Ah, as we learned from James Rout, Raystrow is James's real name.
Yes, Father.
So this is little James.
Then what do you want?
I want to be with my brothers the best of the day, Father.
The demon commander walked to the young demon and gripped his hair, picking him up off the ground and forcing him to look up at his snarl. The young demon, however, looked unfazed.
Huh. Arrogance. Why should I allow you to be with them? I should kill you for your lack of respect to me.
Because I want to be with them, Father.
I could only stare as the young demon faced his father, despite the massive difference between them. This young demon seemed weaker and easy to kill versus the demon commander. Why would this man kill his son? Was this commander that ruthless? However, I wasn't expecting him to laugh and release the young demon.
Good! Assertive even in the face of danger. That is why you are my favorite son.
I thought he was your favorite because he's the eldest, but sure, whatever. I could only stare wide-eyed as the commander placed his hand on the demon's shoulder.
Very well. Go. Tomorrow, you will show me your training.
The little demon grinned widely before running off.
I have a thought.
Yes, my lord.
How old is this daughter?
As old as your 5th, sire.
Do you believe this proposal is worth it?
Yes, sire.
Tell those insects that they are safe for now. I will consider their offer.
Sire, are you certain?
Again, why are you so surprised? You're the one who brought this stuff up. Jesus.
Did I stutter? Now go!
The demon servant quickly ran off, but as soon as he passed the pillar I was hiding behind, he along with the commander vanished into thin air. What the? What had happened? I didn't get the time to figure that out before a demon, who looked around my age, walked into the room reading a book. Is that?
Raystrow, your nose is stuck in those books. Will you not lift your head up from them once in a while?
Huh? That voice! I circled around the pillar to see a second demon, leaning against another pillar and smirking at Raystrow.
Aren't you supposed to be with your mother practicing the harpsichord?
I am, but I had a feeling that you were in danger.
In danger? What are you...
Attack!
Brothers being brothers. All of a sudden, 3 shadows zipped through the room and slammed into Raystrow, forcing him to fall to the ground and drop his book. As sight cleared for me, there were 3 other demons in the dog pile with Raystrow at the bottom.
No way! You haven't had a break in months from those stupid butts. It's time for punishment!
Death by brotherhood!
No more reading!
I told you that you were in danger.
I suddenly knew who these demons were. It's the boys! Even in the demon world, their brotherly connection was astounding. They were merely younger versions of themselves. One of the demons, who I assumed was Matthew, grabbed the book from the floor and opened it, reading it mockingly.
How can you read this, Raystrow? It's all about war strategy. It's boring.
I have to, Zakaru.
Get off!
There's only one thing you need to know about strategy. Kill them all. Take no prisoners.
You sound just like Father.
I couldn't help but giggle. It was cute to see them acting childish with each other. Eventually, James managed to push his brothers off of him and stand, brushing himself off.
You all are reckless. At least we have fun.
It's true. You haven't been with us in weeks. Don't you think it's time for a break?
I'm sure Father won't mind.
But I have to... I know you want to, Raystrow.
What is going on here?
Aww. The fun music immediately stopped. How sad. I shot my head to the voice to see the commander, aged a little, staring at the boys with his arms across his chest. Damien quickly dashed and hid behind Sam, peeking over his shoulder to see the large commander.
Nothing is going on. We just passed by each other.
Then why does your brother have your book?
I was showing him what I was learning, Father.
Return to your studies, Raystrow. The rest of you out of my sight. Do not disturb your brother again.
I could only stare as James gently took his book and, without looking at his brothers, returned to reading. The commander walked past the remaining brothers, growling at Sam and Damon before leaving the room. What was up with that?
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way to get him back.
I don't know. He's on a very tight leash.
Ezra, you're quiet. What did you hear?
He's going to a negotiation meeting. He's going to arrange a marriage.
A marriage? For who? It must be for one of us.
He hasn't decided who will marry her. It's a girl from a kingdom he wants to take over.
But that's uncharacteristic of him. Usually he'd just attack with the army.
Whatever the case is, one of us is getting married.
I hope it isn't me.
What about Raystrow? He's the eldest.
It would make sense, but having a succubus marrying one of us means that she'll be practically married to all of us.
Well, what should we do?
Before the conversation could continue, the boys vanished into thin air, fading into different colored mists. They were replaced by an older Damien and Matthew, sitting with each other in the middle of the throne.
Do you think we should?
I really want to.
I want to as well. Still, it'll be hard to convince Raystero, since he's the one about to be married, and he's the favorite.
We don't know that, Zakeru. Maybe she's set to marry you.
No way! I don't want to get married.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that baby face of yours.
I looked over to see Sam join the duo, crossing his arms and raising an eyebrow at his brothers.
What are you two talking about?
We got into contact with the human world again.
Come on, Ezreal. Give humans too much attention.
No way! You gotta listen! They apparently have stores and books and schools and stuff!
So what? It's full of humans who piss on each other for no reason. They're no better than the devil spawn.
Nuh-uh! The one we were talking to wasn't like that!
How do you know, Zakeru?
Because I do!
What is going on here?
They want to go to the human world.
The human world?
Raystero, think about it. You won't have to marry that girl and be the heir anymore. You could be with us, and we can make lives for ourselves in the new world.
Now you're just talking nonsense.
I vote that we do it.
Hell yeah, Erik! Voice of reasoning. Everybody listen to Erik. Everybody obey Erik.
Huh? Oh, not you two.
Think about it. This may be our chance to finally get away from this political nonsense we're stuck in. We may be nobles, but we're still our own beings.
Raystero is in.
What? Ezreal!
Whoa! So how do we get there?
Are you kidding me? You don't even know how we'd get there.
A simple spell should work, but it would require someone from the human world to help us get there.
We can ask him!
Oh, he'd definitely help us.
I'm not so sure about...
Raystrow, aren't you tired of pleasing Father all of the time?
I am, but...
If you stay, you'll be married off and become ruler of Father's kingdom. You'll have no time for yourself or with us, and you'll be constantly at war with the other realms for power. You'll most likely turn into the spitting image of Father.
Ooh, burn. But like I said, listen to Erik. Everybody listen to him.
What he's saying is get your head out of your ass and let's go. If you don't say yes, I'll drag your princely ass with us. I don't care what that bastard of a father wants.
Come on, Raystero!
All right, let's do this. What's the plan?
I couldn't believe what was happening. I was seeing the history of their lives before my eyes. They were nobles, and James was the heir to the kingdom the commander ruled. Even more so, he was going to be married to Diana. They sacrificed everything to leave and be together. They'd rather be free than remain in their noble roles. I started to feel a little jealous they were able to leave while I was still expected to be what my father wanted me to be. How they were able to leave was uncertain still, but I knew I would learn in time. I closed my eyes and mentally asked Damien to end the vision. As soon as I asked, the world around me slowly vanished, and I was brought back to the bedroom where I sat with my head nestled in Damien's hands. My vision began to clear, letting me fully see the boys around me, all with concerned faces.
So, you now know exactly who we are.
Diana is the girl you were arranged to marry?
Not anymore. Once we left, the arrangement was broken. With no sons to marry off, our dad couldn't go through with the marriage deal.
If Diana is here for us, that means she's trying to save her kingdom from being attacked.
That's not true. She wants to rule our kingdom. Having one of us will give her the right to our kingdom, as much as we'd have right over hers.
So she's a gold digger!
Well, with a kingdom like ours, what succubus wouldn't want to marry us for it?
It all made sense. She wanted them so she could finally take over an opposing kingdom. She knew that, despite her powers, she wouldn't be able to fight against their father, so she had to find another way in. That manipulative... But before I could continue, I felt my head suddenly get heavy and dizzy. I gripped my head, yielding under my breath.
I took too much. I'm so sorry.
Rest now. There's no need to do anything more today.
The boy suddenly rushed over and helped me lay back down as my fidget was painted in white polka dots. I needed sleep badly. Instantly, I closed my eyes and let darkness consume me. Let's see... With that, I believe we are going to stop for the day and save. Yeah, that looks about right. So, that is it for today's video. I am Terry the Fox. You are the viewer, and I hope to see you next time.